gonna close that window. All right. Oh, thank you, everybody. Sorry, I was just putting a note in the stage that I had moved over. So if anybody had questions or comments, I'm happy to answer them. I know Stacy, unlike Mary, so Mary watches all the videos ahead of CrabCon and approves them all and makes sure there's nothing she needs changed. Stacy prefers to watch them live at CrabCon. So Stacy would have watched my presentation for the first time today. Hello, everybody. So Stacy, I know, was super excited for my talk today. There were a couple people, Jenna, that watched my talk in like 2 times speed. Katie said, you sound, Abby joined like 20 minutes into the session being open, and she's like, oh, I'm going to try and catch the Q&A. So I love how people in the chat were like, oh, this sounds so professional. I can be serious, guys. I can be serious when it's important. I just don't take life too seriously, generally. So did anybody have any questions or comments? I know during my session yesterday, sorry, I'm trying to get adjusted in my chair here. How do I attach things to the egg crate? So my egg crate's actually not siliconed to the, siliconed to the side of my tank. The egg crate that's in my toppers, Lynn, I don't know if you're looking to actually come on camera or if you hit that by mistake. If you want to send me a chat, I can let you in as need be. So my toppers are actually, the egg crate is perfect size, and then it's zip tied to form like a hinge. Zip ties are my best friend. So I attach everything to the egg crate using zip ties, or I actually have one today. I don't have to go digging in my tank. Baby teething links. Cassie, is Katie in here? Is Katie in here, or Aura? How late were we up last night? Since I know you're all going to name drop that I don't sleep. Yeah, zip ties are Crabber's secret weapons. So I don't know if Stacy's in here, but I'm trying to talk in that and catch everyone's questions. So if there's anything I miss, I'll try and start pinning questions if there's anything I missed. But I was up till 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm still functioning today, and I'm still managing to be everywhere. So, oh, thank you, Stacy. You're awesome. Yeah, I run on fumes. Thank you, Cassie. Yeah, so I use zip ties to attach absolutely everything everywhere. Unfortunately, here, I'm sorry for anyone who's motion sick. Don't look away. Look away. That's as far as my webcam goes. So if you're looking for like a tank tour for any reason, so before anybody asks, unfortunately, I tried figuring it out on my phone, but it won't let me use my rear camera on the Hopin app. So it would just be a whole mess for me to try and do that. If you guys are really interested in a tank tour, I can do a video and post it on my Instagram after I go off session or later tonight. And I will then post a link to it somewhere on CrabCon so that you guys can kind of have a tank tour. I can definitely do that. However, if you do check out my Instagram, give me 1 second. That's my Instagram handle. I know, super dorky. But you will actually be able to see my entire tank from where I started. If you watched the session yesterday, you would have seen my tank started really, really, for lack of better words, janky. I say that word way too much. But janky, for lack of better words. I'm talking my insulation. And Stacy, if you're in the chat, you're gonna laugh really hard when I tell you my insulation was cardboard, like cereal box cardboard, because that's all I had on hand, wrapped in tin foil and duct taped to the side of my tank. It was the ugliest thing I've ever seen. But unfortunately, the pet store told me 2.5 gallons per crab, 10-gallon tank was fine. So I suddenly had to gather like a couple $100 that I wasn't anticipating spending in order to upgrade to the base tank that I have here. The toppers were an addition later that caused a lot of tears. because every time you add a topper, that it's like a whole new tank setup, but that's a story for a different day. So I don't know if you guys can see on the side of my tank, like there's like pink boards. The color kind of doesn't show up very well with the lights overhead. Yeah, so Crab Street Journal was my absolute lifesaver, Stacy. So I insulate my tank now using, it's called Reflectix insulation, and foam board insulation. So I cut the foam board to the size to fit the sides of my tank, and then I did use the photos of your ramps. That's why I said, Abby, that you needed to check my talk today. But I taped the Reflectix to the foam board insulation, and then I duct tape it to the side of my tank. It's not super pretty right now because I ran out of black duct tape. But as I said in my other sessions, it's not beautiful, but it's functional. So yeah. So I had a pair last night where my known male was on top of the other guy, like rubbing legs and stuff. And I was pretty sure that they were both male, 80% sure the bottom one was male, because Cassie had asked how my mating pair was doing. I'd assumed they were both males with a really heavy bromance going on. So as far as I'm aware, and Mary would probably confirm this, there have been no like male-male pairings, as far as I've heard, where like males will try and mate with males. I could be wrong, but either there's a Bert and Ernie situation going on with my crabs, or I have a female that I had misgendered as being male. So, but they needed mood music last night. There was a whole thing going on in my tank during the chillin' chat. So yeah. I know hermit crabs change genders, and the particular one that I thought was male, that was like on the bottom of this whole mating experience thing that I was witnessing last night. I'm just reading questions. I'll get to your question in a second there, Mary. So yeah, I'm aware that they can change sexes. However, I don't know. Like, I'm fine with it, whatever they decide they're going to do, as long as they're not hurting each other. But it was just very surprising when I was witnessing guarding behavior. So I was like messaging Mary behind the scenes. And when I explained what was going on, she's like, that sounds like guarding behavior. And I'm like, oh no. Oh no. So yeah. So Mary asked the water changes. If I'm going to upgrade to sponge filters and trying to create a natural water environment, how do I take care of all the sand, eco earth, and poop that falls off them to the bottom of the water tanks? So I think what you're asking me is how often do I do water changes with filters and that? I actually don't have filters in my pools right now, because initially when I upgraded to this big tank, I had these big pools. So my pools in there are 1 gallon pools. They are 1 gallon pools, 3/4 gallons, almost a gallon each. And in my humidity skyrocketed. So the ones you saw in the presentation were the pools that I had in there until I added my toppers. So filters once a week. Filters, it's when the water is visibly dirty. However, I would recommend getting a refractometer. So give me 1 second. If you don't know what that is, I have everything ready to go, guys. The benefit of having my tank right next to my thing. So this is a refractometer. What it does is it measures the specific gravity of your water. So correct me if I'm wrong, Stacy, but it should sit at about 1.021 to 1.02526. Some people say 26, but try and keep it somewhere closer to about 1.021, and you're probably safe. For me, that means when I did have filtered pools, all of my top-ups on my saltwater pool were done with fresh water, because salt does not evaporate. Water evaporates, salt does not. So I hope that helps. I think the refractometer cost me like $15, $20 on Amazon, and you can just look up a salinity refractometer and you can get a cheap one. Just make sure that you're cleaning it with like distilled water in between uses, because salt will build up on the screen of it, and then it will make it unreadable and you'll damage it. So that's my only advice. So absolutely essential if you want to get filtered pools. The other thing I want to add is primed. So pools still need to be primed every 2 days. Prime does expire after 2 days. As Moa showed, yeah, if you end up forgetting and do it the next day, your pool should be okay. But for the safest levels of nitrates, and that, thank you, Stacy, for the pool products. For sure, you want to try and still add prime every 2 days. Oh, thank you, Lauren. That's nice. That's so nice. Lauren said, thank you for the presentation. It was very informative. I'm happy that you guys had that impression. See, I can be serious sometimes. So Rachel asked, how do you make a hole in the tank for airline tubing? I've seen multiple ways of doing it. My tanks, and I'm going to be using a different method to attach my toppers when I go to do my upgrade, because if you look closely, you can see that the weather stripping, because my toppers are not the exact dimensions of the base tank, okay. Because it's not the exact dimensions, only 3 sides are supported. So my toppers are sitting on weather stripping, and then I've cut holes in the weather stripping to allow for cables and things to pass through. So there's like little gaps that are like this big in it. So it's still enough to support the tank on top of it, but not so wide as to let a whole bunch of humidity out. And then I duct tape around the border to hold in any moisture. I hope that answers your question. But I found that because not all 4 sides of my toppers are supported, they start to lean towards my plexiglass centerpiece. And it really bothers me. So I'm going to find another way to do it where they don't lean just a little bit. They're totally secure. Like, they're not going anywhere. It just irritates me. So it measures the specific gravity, not necessarily the salt content. I don't know exactly how that works. I'm not a scientist. I just know the ranges it needs to be in. So maybe someone that has more information for Danielle can answer density of the water. There you go. I should know this because I measure like specific gravity and stuff of urine at work. I know, sorry, random tangent. I'm a vet tech. But yes. So Lily asked, does anyone know if you have to cycle tanks or if you can just, whoops. I don't know, but okay, I hope someone answered your question, Lily. Sorry, does anyone know if you have to cycle tanks or if you can just have filter and change when nitrates and nitrites are too high? So you can take that one down there, Stacy, and put the next one up if you'd like. Thank you. So from what I have heard, correct me if I'm wrong, anyone who knows better, with filters, you do not have to change the entire pool as long as the water is not super dirty and it's still measuring at a safe salinity level. If you're noticing it's visibly dirty, like they've dirtied it with poop and that, then you want to do a full water change. But otherwise, you can leave the water and just top it up. However, they don't really dirty the water enough to have a fully cycled pool without plants and that in it. I have never personally added aquatic plants, which was Cassie's question. I have been looking into it. However, my guys are super stupid destructive. So I just have a feeling they would drag it all over the place. And I've already had to deal with like moss being dragged places and molding. And yeah, my one crab likes to do all manner of weird things. He thinks that he is a wine entrepreneur and will drag any fresh fruit in the tank over into a corner somewhere to start rotting. I open my tank and it smells like a wine cellar. So yeah, it's wonderful. I'm trying to catch up with chat. I don't know. If anybody has any more questions, I think I'm pretty much caught up at this point. So yes, even with filters, you want to reprime it to help manage the nitrates. And nitrates, the reason for that is unlike fish that are constantly supplying waste product to the water to help balance that cycle, crabs do not. So unless you have a cycled tank, and even then, prime is still recommended to be updated every 2 days, Cassie. Of course. I'll help where I can. Dakota's Reserve wine cellar. I like that, Lynn. It's really gross. Anyone who's been in the crab community would probably echo the fact that if you've ever opened your tank and had anything that's starting to go funky, you can immediately tell the smell because of the heat and humidity in our tanks. You can immediately tell the smell's off. Like yesterday, before I went into session, I had filled up my water pool. And then I opened it before I went back onto camera with Cindy and Lynn. And all I smelled was like musty, dewy, like something's molding in my tank smell. And I went, I have to be on camera in 15 minutes. That's a future Dakota problem. Close my tank. And then as soon as I was off sessions, I was like, gotta go find where that mold is. Yeah, so anyone who's been doing it, even for a couple months, if you notice something that smells off, immediately investigate. I know sulfur smell is typically flood or bacterial bloom. Musty smells usually mold. And then there's like other smells. Prime smells like sulfur. My favorite joke, I'm really mean. I know, I seem really nice, guys. So surprise, surprise. My friends will come over, and if they are have never seen my tank, and I have to change my water pools, they always get super curious about my tank. The first time they're over. After that, they're like, I'm over it. And I will be like, oh, you should smell this. It smells wonderful. And I watch them take a big huff of prime and then gag because it's funny for me. I'm really mean. I'm sorry. My theory is this. My friends know that I'm a joker. So if you trust me enough to take a big whiff of something that you don't know what it is, that's your fault. That's your fault. See, yeah, I can contest the fact cantaloupe smells so bad, and it's already a mushy fruit. So Kathy said cantaloupe smells the worst when it goes bad. I will echo that. My crabs absolutely love it. So I will usually put like honeydew melon, watermelon, cantaloupe in there in little pieces. However, it molds really fast. And it smells absolutely atrocious. So give me a second. I'll grab my refractometer again. So Danielle said, please explain the refractometer again and why we use it and what it is. So the refractometer, if you have filtered pools, so with filtered pools, you only change your pools when they get visibly dirty. So because of that, you'll probably end up doing several water changes, or like I should say water top-ups before before you have to do a full water change. So because of that, you have to monitor the salinity level of your salt pool. So the way we do that is we monitor the density of the water. So like essentially the solid content of the water. And we use a refractometer. So what you do is you put a drop here, close it up with the salt water. And then if you point it at a light source, it has a reading on it. Like it has lines on it, and you want it to read between 1.021 and 1.025. That's a safe salinity level. So what I found was whenever I would top up my pools, my salt pool would need to be topped up with fresh water unless it was a full water change, because salt does not evaporate. I will continue to repeat that. Salt does not evaporate, water does. So you will end up with really salty pools otherwise. Yes, exactly, Dan. So the water will evaporate, the salt will be left behind. So hermit crabs do like eggs. So Lynn asked, since hermit crabs like eggs, do you ever get Sorry, do you ever get a rotten egg smell in your tank? It's really nasty. That's what prime smells like. Prime smells like sulfur. It's a sulfur smell. So it smells like rotten eggs. Or I've also had people look at me and say it smells like ammonia, like cat pee kind of smell. It's super nasty smell. So I hold my breath when I prime my pools. So yeah. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't be on my phone in the background. But I'm going to see if I can find a picture for you guys. On my Instagram. I had it. Right here. Okay. So, somebody asked, I don't know who it was, but somebody asked, how much do my crabs love the baby rings? I don't know how well you guys can see that. But my guys are all over them all the time. Like my Instagram has pictures of them all over it. So I can actually send you a link, Danielle. Shoot me a direct message, and when I get off the session, I can send you links for pool filters for that size pool. She asked if I had link recommendation for 1 to 2.5 gallon pools. I can send you the ones that I was using. So Sharon asked if we need to add prime to the freshwater pool as well as a saltwater pool. Yes, it's a dechlorinator. So you want to remove chlorine from both your salt and freshwater pools. Yeah, and the only thing those critter carriers are good for is water pools. That's the only thing. Which is, it's kind of funny that they sell them to us in those containers. Funny, sad. They sell them to us in those containers, and unfortunately, they do not actually work for them. So if you have filtered pools, you have to add it every 2 days. If you have unfiltered pools, you need to dump the water every 2 days and redo your water. If you have bubblers in your pools, weekly water changes. Thank you, Jeff, for that. Yeah, so if you're dumping your pools every 2 to 3 days, you don't need to worry about ammonia, just removing chlorine and chloramines. That's fair. That's fair. Somebody posted, how long can I leave Cuttlebone in the tank? Actually, so I had a whole bag of enrichment items that I was going to show you guys, but you guys have had other questions, so I'm happy to share them with you, but let me dig through here real quick. So this Cuttlebone has been in my tank for probably like 8 months, and this is what's left of it. As long as it's not showing signs of deteriorating, it can be kept in your tank almost indefinitely. Yeah, so you add salt water. Ooh, real cuttlefish bones, hey, Stacy? So you do need to add instant ocean to your saltwater pool. This is meant to be, guys, this is meant to be an enrichment talk. So if you do have like direct care questions, I'm happy to answer them, of course. But we've spent this whole time talking about pools. So, yes, you need to add salt to your saltwater pool. Does anybody have any enrichment-based questions? Yeah, a lot of this can be answered in the Facebook group, and I kind of was hoping that I'd have more enrichment questions than general care questions. I'm happy to help you with general care questions later. Show my stash. Opinions on mirrors. I personally have not used one in my tank. And yes, so Darcy, I don't know if you watched my talk. Food is a form of enrichment. Food can be used as enrichment. All right, guys. I'll show us the bag of stuff. Who was here at yesterday's session? Because if the majority of you were here at yesterday's session, where I showed a whole bunch of stuff in my bin, I can show that stuff again for anyone who wasn't here. Like most of you were here, but I will show some of that again. And then I do have an entire bag of extra stuff. So aw, guys. So I do not put food in hiding places. I put it in designated food areas. So Sharon asked, if you hide food in the hiding spots, do you find the crabs take the food out and then have to search to find the old food? The reason I don't hide it in like random spots around my tank is I know it will mold. I know it will mold. I know they'll drag it off somewhere. It will not end where it started. So because of that, I use designated. Now I'm getting really self-conscious because y'all are like, you're cute when you're excited. Because of that, I personally do not I keep them in designated like food situations. So that's like, I put it in, I remove it when it gets funky and I don't have to go searching for it. There will always be the chance that your crabs will drag something off. You could be the most cautious person. And that, so actually, so Cassie asked what my opinion on foraging materials is. 100% essential. That's my opinion. I was offering various. Oh, she didn't see my talk yet. Darcy, please go watch the talk. I want to see what you hear. Wait, I want to hear what you have to add to it. So I do use leaf litter. I personally use, give me 1 second, guys. It's easier if I show you. They're going to be mad. So give me 1 second. I'll be right back. I have a guy sitting in my foraging dish. So that tells you how much he likes it. I'm sorry. Don't be mad at me. I'm sorry. This is my foraging dish, and I'm talking like, this is only half of what I put in there last night. So one of them is almost constantly in it, and the one likes to nap in it. He will nap, munch down, continue eating. So leaf litter, my guys, it never sits in my tank long enough to mold. So Rachel asked, how often do I need to replace leaf litter? I leave it in there unless it starts getting funky, which usually they polish it off before it gets funky. If you look on my Instagram, there's actually a video of my crabs. I think it's like the second video when I first introduced their designated foraging dish, and he leans back in his shell like it's a lazy boy chair and just goes ham on it. So food is 100% enrichment, and I would argue foraging dishes are absolutely essential. So I would caution, if you're going to sprinkle foraging on the ground, make sure it's stuff that will not mold in the course of a couple days. Like leaf litter, usually you're fine. Lichens, usually you're fine. Same with moss, you're usually okay. Yeah, so under my name, my website is my Instagram because I knew people would ask about it. Yeah, so everybody who's been watching, I've had a couple people message me and be like, "Oh, you've encouraged me to add extra enrichment to my tank," and I'm really glad that that's the case, because I do believe that every animal, like even your standard goldfish, benefits from enrichment in some way, shape, or form. So yesterday, you guys would have seen this. This is a bird foraging ball. It is quite large, so that would be one example. Leaf litter works great in it. Like big nuts and seeds works great. I have no idea what would make lichen turn orange, Tina. Yeah, I have green sand in a bowl with my worm castings and my exomix. So there's that. So I showed yesterday a ladder that I built using these ones. It's currently in my tank, so I can't pull it out, and I don't have the picture readily available, but I zip tied the balls inside the little plastic bracelets, And then I had attached some cat spirals. My crabs absolutely love it. Oh, how do I recommend putting craft mesh around the wheels? Sorry, Colleen, if you've been waiting. But my stepdad does not trust me with power tools. I am the most clumsy person. I will probably end up hurting myself. So he drilled holes in it, and then I used those holes to zip tie mesh. As I've said hundreds of times, my tank is functional, not beautiful. My wheel is functional, not beautiful. I actually have pictures on my Instagram as well of how I rigged up my wheel and how I have it attached to the egg crate. It's kind of janky looking. I know, there's the word again. There needs to be a how many times does Cody say janky in one talk? It's like Velma's Jinkies, but it's janky instead. So yeah, just drill some holes and then zip ties. How often do I replace the greens? So Rachel asked, how often do I replace the green sand and worm castings in my bowl? That I leave, unless it starts getting funky and becomes more crab poop than worm poop, it pretty much sits in my tank indefinitely. I don't find that it really molds. So I just leave it until they finish it. So I also showed, something went flying. It wasn't breakable. It's good. So I actually have a air plant globe, like what Rita was showing in her talk, that I silicone some rocks in. I put moss in here. I grow chia gardens in it. You name it. I've probably, if it's safe for the crabs, I've probably grown it in here. So there's that. I showed that yesterday. Dan sells window clings that are super cute and crab related. So go check out Dan's shop, or he was selling them. Confirm for me, Dan, please. But window clings, if you're trying to decorate for the season, you can find them every shape and form. You can probably find Hanukkah window clings. Like, I'm talking, I don't mean to offend anyone, but like, you can probably find it for everybody. Oz for claws. I know, super dorky. So there's that. Terracotta pots, I would caution, they do absorb ridiculous amounts of water from your substrate. So I personally would only use them in my toppers. I have seen people have success with them on the substrate. Just monitor them because they're porous. I mentioned soap dishes as chia gardens. This is just dollar store soap dish. So there's that. So somebody asked if I've ever used mirrors. I don't know where to buy natural jute, Lily. Sorry. Maybe one of the sellers can help you with that. So chia pets, I mean, if it's terracotta and you know there's no chemicals on it, it's probably safe for the crab tank. But chia actually becomes really sticky. As long as it's got some sort of a textured surface on it, you can probably grow chia pet on it. So you might even be able, hey, Dan, I know you create stuff. So maybe we need to figure out how to build a crabby chia pet. Maybe that should be our project, since people have been asking about it. So enamel painted pots, I would say no, because the paint can be chipped at, Lynn, and ingested. So anything that you wouldn't want them to eat, you don't want in the tank. And even then, they will find ways to eat literally anything that they can pinch pieces off of. So I do weekly tank maintenance where I remove all of my plants because they knock, this jungle over here actually hides my food dish. So every time I do my weekly maintenance, I have to move all the plants because they knock them all over. So flower pots that have been painted by an auto painted company, again, if it can be chipped off, I wouldn't recommend. Hermit crab chia pets, yeah. So I do have ceramics. Ceramics, this is like, it's solid, it's glazed, it's ceramic. Like, I could scrape at it all day, no paint's coming off of it. But this was a candle holder that I siliconed rocks into, and then I grow chia in it on some moss. That's one of my favorites, actually. So let it have the screen time it deserves. I do have a mirror made. However, I have not had the chance to put it in my tank yet. So I haven't had a chance to put it in my tank to see how my crabs react to it, but I hear mixed reviews. People's crabs either don't like it or they love it. So I actually thrifted that boot. So everyone who's like, I love the boot, I thrifted the boot. It happened to be a find that I found at a thrift store, and it was $5. I'm like, do I really want to pay $5 for it? Like, what if I can't find space for it in my tank? Blah, 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 blah. And then my mom said, I know you love that, and you've carried it through the whole store. If you don't pick it up, you're going to regret it because it'll never be there again. So, oh, Rita, that's cool to know that the Dollar Tree has animals like the boot. So that's good to know. But yeah, I haven't tried the mirror, but I will for sure let you guys know what my crabs think of it. I have 3, so anyone with bigger tanks probably will get a review faster. It took my crabs. So anyone who's like, how do you get your crabs to use the wheel? I'm telling you, it took me putting popcorn on the wheel like a couple times a week, adding mesh to it, like all the way around. Every surface of my wheel is climbable. And then like trying to coax them every way I could, except for picking them up and like shoving them on the wheel and personally demonstrating the way Donna was saying she was going to do in order to get them to go on the wheel. And it took 4 months for them to discover my wheel. And then one guy I caught on it one day, and then they have not stopped using it since. So I had a wheel before I had a saucer. I think that because they had figured out the wheel before I put in the saucer, that when one of them realized, hey, I can walk on this and it's like a horizontal wheel, within like 2 hours, I had a guy that was flinging himself against the glass on the saucer. So I just kept hearing thunk, thunk, thunk. It got really annoying, but they were having fun. So no crab should live without the benefit of a wheel or a saucer. Every single crab needs a wheel or saucer. And I'm sure if Darcy's still in here, she would echo that. Yeah, so I say wheel or saucer because my crabs absolutely, they love both, but they prefer their wheel. I showed this yesterday as well. So this is this one's actually a Christmas tree ornament, but people will collect like little itty bitty, like shot glass sized teacups with saucers. And you can buy them at thrift stores for like $2, silicone them together with safe silicone, and then use them as food dishes. I like to use them in my toppers for worm castings green sand. Kay says she cannot get her crabs to use wheel or saucer. I will say that my crabs will huddle in the corner and absolutely refuse to touch anything for probably 2-3 days. When I first changed the tank, they'll huddle in the corner like the most deprived babies ever. And you guys all know my crabs are clearly spoiled because this is all extra decor. This is all mostly extra decor, which means that I have way too much. Yeah, you can buy like teacups and saucers. These ones are little ones, Lynn. The reason for that is this way they can't get stuck in the cup. My guys will perch on it. I don't know, babies would probably be able to get stuck, so use caution with them. But my big guys will perch on the edge, and it's shallow enough, like it's little. It's shallow enough that my guys can perch on the edge and reach the bottom of it, but not so wide that they'll get stuck. So, and then Duplo. So Duplo or Lego. And then I have, of course, like Choya and Bark. Choya, Chala, whatever you guys are calling it. There was a whole chat, I don't remember which one it was, where y'all were fighting about how to say it. So I don't know I follow the crowd, so apparently we're calling it choya. I'll be a sheeple and call it choya. I do have, so another example, aquarium plants. Oh yeah. So this is an example of an aquarium plant that I kept this one because I knew I was having this talk. Back in January when I got approved, I knew I was having a talk on enrichment. So I actually kept this. So this would be an example of a plant that, while it is safe material and everything, hindsight, it's so flimsy, they just pinch pieces off of it and it ends up everywhere in my tank, which makes me concerned that they were ingesting pieces of it, because this is only half the size it was when I bought it. There was like a whole stalk here that they ripped off in the first 2 days. So keep that in mind and monitor your, that's like just my little word of caution. I have a tire swing. So I have a little tire swing that I bought. Unfortunately, so I do make use of some hermit crab sellers. This actually hasn't made it into my tank yet, Cassie. So Cassie asked if they use the tire swing. This hasn't made it into my tank yet. So this is something that I'm looking to put in my tank. But where I was going with this is you will see some stuff that you cannot find on any expo booth. And that's because it's purchased from like a friend of mine in Canada who's not an approved seller, but she makes hermit crab stuff. And I know her really well. So she's not an approved seller. And not all of her stuff I will use in my tanks because of that. However, stuff like this, it's jute and it's not smelly. Like, yeah, I just sniffed it on camera to prove it to you guys, but it's not smelly. And she makes sure to source the rubber for the tires. Like, I asked her probably 200 questions before I bought this from her in regards to them, in regards to the tire swing. So Jesselyn asked if anyone has experience with enrichment items for jumbos. She recently adopted 2 and they just completely destroy everything. Nothing has been durable enough unless it's silicone to the tank. My biggest crab is in a shell about this big, about an inch and 1/8 opening ish, somewhere in there. And unfortunately, I do not have jumbos. However, I would say that this is more than big enough for a jumbo to sit on. Like, this is it next to my, like, in my hand. Like, I can hardly grip it in one hand. It's huge. So that would be an option. My toppers have a lot of egg crate platforms. So maybe making some sturdy egg crate platforms could be an idea. You'd have to give me some time on that. I think Jesselyn, who asked that, you'd have to give me some time on that to brainstorm some ideas for jumbos. But that's definitely a brainchild we could work on together, see if there's something we could figure out for your crabs, safe and durable. I'm always happy to brainstorm with people. All right, perfect. Hit me up later. So you guys saw my little Cuttlebone holder. That's all plastic. I bought this at PetSmart, and then I broke this part off because it had a metal hanger on it. So don't tell my stepdad, but I was using hand tools and almost cut myself 3 times. I almost removed a finger. So don't be Dakota. Have a trusted adult help you. Okay. So plastic decor right in front of the heater. It would be no different than leaving it outside on a sunny day. Realistically, our tanks, the heat and humidity, it shouldn't cause it to melt or anything if that's your concern. Because Rachel asked, is it okay to put plastic decor right in front of the heater? It shouldn't melt. Even if your heat mat is absolutely cranking max heat at like 104, that's only about, it's not that hot that any of your plastic items should melt at that heat. So you should be okay. Just as I said, as with anything, monitor it. Same as if your dog's ball breaks. If your crab stuff is deteriorating, replace it. So you can get, so I don't remember whose talk it was, where they used like Christmas tree light hooks, like command hooks. Someone asked how to hang things from the top of the aquarium or the topper. Oh, you don't have a topper. Okay. If you don't have a topper, I know Jessie Stone Road. Reach out to Jessie Stone Road. She uses tension rods that are wrapped in jute. I have never used tension rods, so I don't know how that method works, but that's a good idea. Or if you don't have crabs in the tank and you're looking to build a tank, you can use stuff called corner guard, and it has holes in it that you can hang things from. Another option would be if you're looking to hang something upside down from a lid, you could use silicone, like Christmas light command hooks. Just make sure they're entirely plastic with no metal components. And then you'd be able to like hang zip ties, hang jute from those. Just make sure that your lid your lid or whatever you're hanging it from can handle the weight of whatever you're hanging on it. Because I don't want to encourage you to break lids by accident. So Danielle just echoed, you can use command hooks to hang things from the lid. Ooh, see, I saw Jonathan's talk last year and debated getting a disco ball, and it totally slipped my mind until I rewatched it, Dan. So I want to get a disco ball. I don't know about the adhesive on command strips being safe. I personally use silicone. That's actually how my not my suspended platform, but how my rope ladder here, I don't know if you guys can see it, on the side there is on a command strip. That topper was made about probably a year ago, and it's been siliconed. They have not fallen, and they climb up and down that ladder all day long every day. So if that helps you to feel more secure about silicone, I will echo, make sure that it is full time to cure. I usually give it 72 hours to a week to make sure it's fully cured. If you can still smell the silicone, and anyone, excuse me, anyone's who has worked with silicone, one second, will tell you it absolutely reeks when you first use it. It smells absolutely atrocious. Do it somewhere with heavy ventilation. Don't do it in your basement like me. I swear I was getting high on the fumes. It was bad. I ended up with a wicked migraine because I was doing it in my basement. My whole laundry room and basement stunk so bad that my mom's like, what are you doing down there? And why are you doing it inside my house? That's how bad it smelled when I did my topper. So learn from my mistakes. Don't be Dakota. Yeah, it's like a really, really strong, bad vinegar smell. So I do have a couple more things in my little goodie bag. So this was in my talk, these hammocks. So they are, so I think Darcy, I don't know if she's still here, but I would assume babies could probably even use this. Not a whole lot. We're just talking about enrichment, Christina. So you didn't miss a whole lot. So just bounce in where you can. I'm here to answer questions. Ouch. So Dan says that inhaling silicone fumes speaks a lot to my personality. So I don't know what he's meaning by that, because I am perfectly normal insane. Anyways, so this I think would probably also be pretty good for babies because it's got small little holes. They can't fall through it like some of the other hammocks. It's also entirely plastic based. So you can hang it directly above your pools. And I had this over my pools for probably 6-8 months and not a speck of mold on it. And my crabs use it all the time. However, if you have a crab that likes to pick suction cups off the wall, it will fall. It will fall into your pools. One of my crabs started doing that, so I stopped putting it over my pools because I don't want to, tempt fate and end up with mold on it, even though I don't think it will mold. So if you look, it comes with key rings. If it has key rings on it, you can replicate key rings with little zip ties. So I did that on all 3 corners. Yeah, don't watch me do tank maintenance. Be better than me. Take a wet rag and wet your suction cups. Don't lick them because it's gross. You will taste aquarium salt, which is gross, okay? It's really gross. Learn from my mistakes. What What else do I got? My bag of goodies. My millet holder. I don't know if I showed that. Millet holder. Bird toys. I absolutely love bird toys. If they have bells in them, remove them because they're plastic. But yeah. So most of the millet holders I found online were metal. It took me probably searching through 16 pages of millet holders in order to find an all plastic one. So if you guys are having troubles finding one, I know you guys are located in the States, so I can see if my Canadian Amazon links will help you, but I'm not sure that they will. Otherwise, I can help you guys source some stuff out. It's all about knowing keywords to look up. I can look up, see what mine was called, and then see about going incognito so my computer doesn't switch me to American everything, and look it up for you. Yeah, so woods, make sure that if you're using hamster wooden toys, someone asked about hamster wooden toys, make sure that it's a safe wood. If it's dyed wood, odds are it's not safe. And most of it's for pine, and pine is really toxic to crabs. So I would just say avoid altogether. Avoid wooden hamster toys altogether. I know it sucks, but unless you can be 100% certain that the wood's not treated and that it's a safe variety, I wouldn't use it. Oh, thank you, Kathy. So Kathy said, search plastic millet holders and it'll on Chewy and it'll pull it up for you. Oh, look at you. Thank you so much, Rita. Rita, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. All right, guys. Yeah, so yeah, perfect. So yeah, bird toys. I love bird toys. Just make sure that if there's like bells or anything on it that you remove them, because metal plus moisture equals rust. Remember that. Words to live by. My little molt cover from last year, I personally use the window clings. So you can see I don't just show this stuff. You can actually see it in use in my tank. If you look on my Instagram, you'll see it all like in my tank. This isn't just me preaching like use enrichment. You'll actually see it all being used in my tank. This one has not yet made it into my tank. So before you come at me, that's why I can't find the shells in my crab sizes. These are all shells that were otherwise not fit for hermit crab use. This one, for instance, has weak spots in it. It's hard for me to show on camera. I tried yesterday to show some people in the chit chat talk. But there's like holes and stuff in these shells, so they are not fit for hermit crabs, but it is a big long ladder. So I don't know anything about the subscription box, unfortunately, as far as recommending it or that Jesselyn. So yes, someone started I believe it was Sarah that did. Unfortunately, in Canada, I can't get it, so I can't speak to the contents or that. I know she's an approved seller, Dan. I unfortunately just can't speak to the products that are in it, what the quality of the product's like, but I assume if she's an approved seller, the quality is good. I have faith that they do a good job with it. I know y'all keep saying I need to open a Canadian business. My stepdad and I have been talking about potentially starting a hermit crab business that offers some 3D printed stuff, and we have a couple ideas that would be that I haven't seen in any shops. I'm very keen on making sure that the ideas are original, though. So before I started a shop, I'd want to make sure I have enough original ideas for it to actually be a worthy venture, if that makes sense. I'm making an absolute mess on my floor, so you're welcome, guys. And then I have 3D printed pool ladders, which I know these are different from the ones that, oh, that's upside down, that Savannah has in her shop, but that's another example. These ones are much too shallow for the pools I have in this tank. I'm looking to put shallower ones in the other tank because I'm holding out for babies. I know I'm in Canada and it's a far off dream, but I'm holding out for babies. And I was waiting for Rita to be like, get a passport, because she's been every time I say ship to Canada in one of the baby talks, she immediately says get a passport. I'm being called out all weekend. I'm surprised that none of our speakers that are in here have yet put Dakota, because that's become a joke too. Because I've been helping them in sessions, and I keep telling them, if you just say my name 3 times, I'll appear like Beetlejuice. Because I've been watching everything all at once. Did anybody have any further questions? I think that's pretty much it for the enrichment items I have outside of my tank. I do have more like inside my tank. Did you guys want to see like a close-up of the suspended platform that I was talking about? Because I can pull that out of my tank if you want. Okay, give me a second. Oh, did I wake you? I am so sorry, Kitty. Did I wake you? Oh, you have food. What's your problem? What's your problem? It just took me a minute to unhook it. And my cat's really upset because I woke her from her nap. So I'm sorry, guys. Oh, you can see my cat? So this is what it actually looks like. So it is supported here in the middle, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 corners. And it hooks right into my egg crate. And I have actually experimented with putting leaf litter up on here. I was putting like dried crickets, mealworms, and the likes up in it, and they will pick through it. Just make sure that, so this was kind of a brainchild because I had all this extra decor. I needed something to put over my pools because there's a gap and a shelf in my topper over my pools where I can actually pass one pool at a time up and out, so that I can then unclip like all of and make room so I can do easy water changes through that topper by having a platform that was removable. So it was kind of a brainchild of, I needed it to be functional, but I didn't want to leave the tank super bare. So as you can see, like it's super bare right now. Yeah. Yeah, so I want to rip you guys off from Canadian to US shipping. That's why I want to open a shop. Savannah, that's exactly it. I want to rip off the US people like you guys ripped me off with shipping. I'm just kidding. I appreciate all you guys do, and you guys have wonderful shops. It's not your fault that shipping is ridiculous. So somebody asked about my lights. I use a clip style light with 3 heads on it that simulates natural daylight. It's on the same spectrum as natural daylight. So yeah, that's what I use. I do have a link to it if you guys need. And I know you can get a similar one on Canadian or American Amazon. I know you can get it because I knew, because people asked me yesterday. So I was looking on American Amazon last night. So Jesselyn asked, do we give the green light to any fake plants if they smell okay? So I personally will say, I know some people use the dollar store ones. Make sure they don't have metal in the stems because they will start to rust in your substrate. So make sure there's no metal in the stems, and I would caution against silk plants. Some people have luck with them, but a lot of people that I've talked to, I know Dan and I were talking about it last night, that crabs just rip them apart, and I'm fearful when they rip them apart like it's leaf litter that they may be ingesting it. So I personally don't use silk plants, but everybody's crabs are a little bit different. So just kind of like, it really depends. My crabs don't pick at fake plants so much, so I have more. But I'm happy to stay a couple extra minutes if you guys need. And as I said in my session yesterday, I love seeing other people's enrichment ideas. So if you create something that's super cool and you want to share it with me, my name's exactly the same on Facebook as it is here. Shoot me a message. I'm always happy. I did see her tank pictures, Cassie. She asked me if I saw her tank pictures yesterday. I did see them. It was super cute. So if you guys have pictures, sleeveless hoodie. Oh, the first day. I don't know where I got it. A friend gifted it to me because she bought it and then she never wore it. So I don't know where I got it. What kind of millet do I use? I go to PetSmart, find millet. Do not use flavored millet. You can get flavored millet where it's flavored like mango, peach, like really weird flavors. Don't use that stuff. It's got heavy preservatives in it. Find one that's like all natural millet. And they sell it in like big packs. It's like $9 for a pack that'll last you months. Keep it somewhere dry, dark, and it'll last you a while. So yeah. So if you're trying to, so my best advice for silicone is if you're trying to apply it to a smooth surface, rough up the surface before you apply it. Same as if you're painting something or priming something. So if you take sandpaper to the outside of your plastic dome, obviously don't scuff it so you break it, but scuff it enough that it's got some texture to it and you may have more luck. Rachel asked about how to silicone things to the outside of one of the terrarium balls. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Yes. Yes, so millet sprays like birds and rabbit eat. Yeah, that's correct. I don't have any in my tank right now. My crabs are hit or miss if they'll eat it. So I tried it over the last 2 weeks. I had a sprig in there. I had a couple sprigs in there over the last couple weeks. They wouldn't touch it. So I personally rotate through what they have in foraging based on what they have been going crazy for. When they get bored of what's in their dish, I switch it up, put something else in. And they'll go through phases where they can't get enough millet and then they won't eat it. So it really just depends what they're wanting to eat. I don't know why I'm dinging. Sorry. So yes. Anything else from anybody else? I sent reminders to everybody super early for the talks after mine because I figured there might be some last minute questions. So they all got their reminders super early. So I'm all good if you guys have any further questions. Passport, please. So last year, so I actually looked up how far of a drive it would be from me to Virginia, where Mary lives in Virginia. And just to get to the border, it's like 14, 15 hours. So that means I could do a trip to Mary. It would just take me like 16 hours to get there. How dedicated am I to getting babies? Probably not that dedicated right now. Not with the cost of gas. You're welcome, guys. And if anybody thinks of any questions, hit me with a message. Like, I can talk enrichment all day long every day, so you're not going to bore me. You're not going to irritate me. I do work a full-time job, usually, and I do keep myself very busy to help manage my excessive amounts of energy. So if you guys do not get an immediate response back, don't assume I'm ignoring you. I love making friends, especially hermit crab friends, and I will get back to you absolutely as soon as I can. So. Oz for claws. So here, I'll tag it in. I'll tag it again. Oz for claws. I'll pin it for you guys. There you go. So Oz for claws is my Instagram. And it is strictly my hermit crabs. My dog and cat do have an Instagram, but it is not updated. My hermit crab Instagram gets more use than my personal Instagram, so that says a lot about my priorities in life. Any further questions? Otherwise, I'm going to go check out Crustacean Plantation, even though I've already seen her slideshow because I did tech support with her during the practice week for all the speakers. So I have already seen it, but I want to see it again. All right. If you guys do need me, I will probably be up till stupid o'clock in the morning again tonight. Thanks, Moa. You're wonderful. I'm the type where I follow almost everyone back, so please don't freak out and act like I'm a celebrity if I follow you back. Okay? Just promise me that, because I'm just me. I'm just fun. So if you guys need to reach out to me, I will probably be online till stupid o'clock in the morning when the conference literally kicks us out. So yeah, just hit me up. Follow me on Instagram if you want. If you have other questions, you can hit me with a message on Facebook Messenger through the conference. I can't promise I'll be super fast. Or you can hit me with a private message on Hopin, though my messages have been really touchy. So I actually have had some messages not come through. So you're better to hit me up elsewhere. But yeah, I'm easy to get a hold of. Typical millennial, always on my phone. So I will talk to you guys later and enjoy the rest of